All right, so I'm really excited to be here presenting for all of you today. I just love the support that this group has for the community. So I had a presentation. Obviously, you can't see it, but I'll run through it. So people ask me all of the time, why polar bear? So there's not really any significance to the polar bear itself. I just knew when I started my company, there was three things that I wanted in the logo. And that was, it had to be brandable, it had to be recognizable, something that people would easily recognize and remember. And I had to be able to relate it back to HVAC in some way or another. So I talked to a lot of people, asked for a lot of advice, opinions about it. We had a bunch of different ideas. And my oldest daughter came up with the idea for polar bear. And I loved it right from the beginning. And we ran with it. And it works. All right, so a little bit about me. I'm a Colorado native. I grew up in Montrose, Colorado. I love anything outdoors. I have 4 daughters. They're everything to me. So family is everything. And I'm a really passionate person. I just really care about what I do. And when I started my company, that was the main philosophy behind it. And you'll see on my cards, it says, at Polar Bear, we care. And I try to ingrain that into everything that we do. So I came up with humble beginnings, living in Montrose, Colorado. I had a lot of family around me. I had a great childhood, but I was also exposed to a lot of things. Grew up in poverty, around a lot of drugs and violence, and not the best environment. And everybody mostly worked construction type jobs or just jobs here and there, whatever they could do to get work. And that's what I did. So I started working at 13 years old. By the time I was 19 and moving up here to go to college, I'd had 15 different jobs. And I knew for sure I didn't want to do construction or just jump from job to job. I wanted to do something with my life. And that really came from my mother, who at a very young age and all through my school years, she was just always telling me, you need to go to college, you need to go to college, you need to get a degree, get a good job. And it was something that really stuck with me. And even though I never knew anybody that went to college, none of my friends or family members ever went to college, that one goal really changed my life. So without much direction or anything, I moved to Colorado Springs, went to UCCS to go to college, and against all odds, I graduated, I made it. And it's a quick story. So when I first moved up here, they had freshman orientation. I had never stepped foot on a college campus before, and there was literally over 1,000 freshmen there, and they brought us all together. And so I got all cleaned up. Like all the homies did, I was all dressed up. I had my hairnet on, my hair slicked back. I had my wife beater and my creased up pants and my Nike Cortezes. And I go out there and I'm just looking, and I never felt so alone in my whole life. I was just like, there was other Hispanic kids, people from around, but not a single person there that looked like me, dressed like me, talked like me. And so it was a challenge, but I made it through. I literally lived on ramen noodles and toast for a period of time. I had to sleep on couches, bum rides, but I made it. And then I went on to get my MBA. So I have 2 degrees from UCCS. I love learning. I'm a lifelong learner. I take every class that I can in HVAC. I got a ton of certifications and everything. But so out of college, I did really well. Got a job with Colorado Springs Utilities. Moved on from there, got a job back at UCCS, and I was really fortunate. I was living and accomplishing what I thought I would do in my life, but I hated being on a computer and in the office all day long. And I knew I wanted to do something different. I had a passion for small business, I always had, and getting my MBA, I wanted to do an internship and see what it was all about. So I did an internship with a small HVAC company here in town. They were really on the down and out. It was a small mom and pop shop. They were not doing very well at the time at all. And I just saw so much opportunity, and I knew in my heart that I could do it, even without any HVAC experience at all. I ended up talking the owner into giving me a chance to run his company. And the whole deal was, for me, it was a huge sacrifice. I took a huge pay cut, lost all my benefits, all my retirement, everything to come over and do it. And I worked my butt off and ran it like my own company. But the whole deal was, for me, I was just doing it for the opportunity and the opportunity to get into business ownership. And that was the agreement that we had. So over the course of about 5 years, the company about tripled in size. We became profitable. We did phenomenal. I also learned the trade inside and out. I started in the field doing installs, working with the guys, and I got all my certifications. I started a commercial division there. So we accomplished a lot as a company, and I accomplished a lot individually, but I knew that it just wasn't going to happen with the whole ownership thing. And so I finally decided it was time to move on. And it was the hardest decision I probably have had to make in my life. I had invested so much into this company, and I really didn't want to move on. I wanted to make things work however I could, and it just wasn't going to happen. So I wasn't sure what I was going to do. I never thought about starting my own company. I never wanted to branch off. I didn't have like this grand master plan or anything. I was just done. So I told him I was going to be leaving. I wasn't sure what I was going to do. And it's like, I did it once. I basically built this company from nothing. I could do it again. So on March 1st, 2020, I started Polar Bear Mechanical. It was me and one other guy. And basically invested my whole life savings into it. In the first couple months, lost everything. And I mean, COVID hit almost immediately, so it was really tough. Then it got hot and we started doing amazing. We brought on a couple more guys, been very fortunate. We have an amazing team now. We ended up in our first year of business doing just under $1 million. And this year we're pushing, we'll hit at least 1.5, probably more. But we're doing phenomenal. And just huge shout out to my guys and everybody that supported us through starting the company and everything. So what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so our big goals right now is we're still operating out of my garage. So I haven't taken my motorcycle out once all year because I have so much crap in there, I can't even get it out. But we're looking for a shop, so that's our big goal this year. We gotta get into a shop, get some more space, and then we need to upgrade all of our vehicles. We got some old vehicles that keep breaking down on us, so that's the big goals right now. And just appreciate your guys' support. Thank you for coming out today.
He said the word 8-track many times, and 8-track to me is a cassette to listen to music, so I have no idea what you're talking about. What's 8-track?
So it's HVAC, it's HVAC.
Oh, HVAC.
Yes, sir. So it's heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and then they add an R on the end for refrigeration. Yes, HVAC, heating and cooling.
With only being in business a year, how many employees have you accumulated from that?
So we have 2 install crews, which is 2 guys each. I got 2 service techs. One is more like a manager, helps me run the guys. And I have an office person and myself.
Was there, sorry,
Yeah,
was
go
there
ahead.
any point during the COVID, I mean, because you just started the business, COVID hits, you're losing all the money. Was there any point where you thought, man, what did I do? Or what have I got myself into? Or was it always, hey, I'm going to push, I'm going to fight, get out of it?
I did have some thoughts like that, maybe for a couple seconds. I mean, ever since I left the university, I did. I mean, I had a couple of assistants. I was working in the office, and I could leave and go whenever I wanted. And then I was in a nasty crawl space with rat crap everywhere and a super hot attic, breathing in all this nasty insulation. And so, yeah, I've definitely had those thoughts. But at no point ever have I looked back or doubted myself. Even with COVID going on, I just knew that I was going to get through it no matter what.
Let's talk about the transition point of you leaving your last company to start your own. You'd already invested so much of yourself into that. What was kind of the trigger point? Like, what else do I have to lose? Why not? I mean, what made you take that step?
It really was, I knew they would have given me anything that I wanted to stay there. And we were in a pretty good spot. The company was doing really well, but I just was very passionate about the ownership side of it. And as a business owner, you can represent your company in a way that nobody else can. Making the decisions and just everything. I hate to say it, but I felt like the company where I was at, it was kind of like a dead weight that I was dragging behind me, and I knew I could do better without them.
So you said you're looking for a new building. Are you looking to rent or buy? How big? What are your requirements? And is there a certain part of the city you're looking at?
Great question. So I really want to buy. That's my goal. I'd rather work out of my garage a little bit longer if I have to until we get the point that we're able to buy. Ideally, I would like to get something more like industrial type, like shop type, and centrally located, like Central Academy, Central Powers type area, and something that we could grow into. So I would love to be able to get into a building where we could rent a small portion of it for the company and rent the rest of it out, so I don't have to foot the whole bill on it. And then as the company continues to grow, we'll take over more and more of the property.
What advice would you give a business owner wanting to, or somebody wanting to take that leap where you were at from that transition? What advice would you give them? So yeah.
My advice, and I've given this to several guys, especially in HVAC or in the trades, so many people, they get to the point where they feel like they want to be a business owner, and there's not a whole lot stopping you from doing that. But my advice is just wait. Take your time, make sure you're prepared and ready for it. Because I think one of the biggest problems in construction industry in general is the majority of guys that own a business, they're really great at what they do. They're passionate, they want to do the right thing, but they have absolutely no business background. And that's what kills most of these businesses. And they really hurt themselves a lot of times because they don't know what they don't know. So my advice would be, know what you're getting into, learn about the business side of things before you jump into it. So just a real quick statistic for everybody. The average size of an HVAC company across the nation is 2 employees. And it's basically an owner and a helper. So owner-operated businesses, I think most construction businesses are like that. And it's because they were the workers that decided they wanted to start their own company. But unfortunately, they don't really make it past that because it's the business side of things that have to be done in order for you to grow a company properly and establish something that's going to be able to stick around.
Since I know more of your background, I can answer this myself, but can you tell us what are the roles in your company? Because that does make you really unique because of the education that you have. It's really
What are my roles or all the roles?
your roles.
Okay. So I run the business. Obviously, I do all the business side of it, the financials and the marketing and all of the billing and all of that kind of stuff. I built all of our price books. I implemented all the system software that we use. I do some training with the guys and stuff. I've always been really big on training, so we do a ton of training, like as a team and everything. So that's more of the business side of things. I need to spend a lot more time doing that. I'm out in the field a whole lot, especially right now. So I do repairs. I was working on a big liquor store the last couple of days, been out there all day. I do a lot of the sales, any of the blueprint bids that we're doing, like for new construction or big commercial jobs. I do all of those bids. I do all of our more complicated bids. I do all of that. And then Steve, my right-hand man, he does the majority of our residential bids and service and stuff. If we get backed up on any day and we got, especially one of our own customers that's calling that needs us, I'll go out and anywhere that we can squeeze in jobs. If I have to push something else off, I do, and it happens every day. So I'm out on the field quite a bit as well. There's a lot. Diego?
What's your vision, bro? I mean, where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years?
Honestly, I really need to sit down and take time to think about that. I know that I have really high goals, high aspirations, and I feel very confident that we'll accomplish those, but I really haven't sat down and specified exactly what I want to do with the company. Ultimately, the reason I was so passionate about small business is I know you have to work really hard. I know you can really never get out of it. But at the same time, if you do things right and you grow properly and you have the right support systems in place and the right people in the right places, you could get to a point where you don't have to work so hard. And so that's my goal. I want to get to the point where I have a well-oiled machine. The company's running itself, and I just have to make sure everything's staying on track. And even if I'm on vacation or whatever, I can do that remotely and not have to be so involved in the day-to-day. That's my ultimate goal back here.
Now, you've got 7 employees. It sounds like you're looking to expand to possibly doubling that. What are you doing to be competitive to keep the employees you have and attract the best talent?
So I'm getting some benefit stuff in place for the guys, which I know it's really important to a lot of people. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time. I pay my guys really well. I'm a big believer in performance pay. So the guys that perform better, they get more pay. So we're very competitive on that stance. My right-hand guy, Steve, he's really been with me from the very beginning, been very instrumental in the growth in the company. I pay him very well, and I give him a great opportunity as the company grows that he'll be able to benefit from that as well. And I don't put any cap on the guys, and I've always been that way. For me right now, I'm investing everything back into the company. Majority of the time when guys are making more than I'm taking out as a salary on a weekly basis, and I'm okay with that. I have no problem with my guys making more money than I do right now, because I know as the company grows and as we become more profitable, I'll get all of that back. But
Business owner is always the last one paid.
absolutely.
So, how long until you're going to be able to get off the truck so that you can concentrate on working on your business instead of in your business?
I don't think it's that long. Right now, we're summertime. Summertime is absolutely crazy for us. The demand just skyrockets. So summertime, I plan on being in the field. That's my role. The rest of the year, the team that I have right now, they can handle all of the work. So we're pretty close.
I just want to say, way to go, man, going for it. I mean, when you had a position of, like you said, you can kind of do what you want, and it was already working, but you just still felt held back. You still felt there was something more for you. Way to go, man. Way to go for it. That's a hard decision.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So being the first person to go to college in my family, and for you, what was that like? Can you go back and talk to that? Because it's very interesting that you started in the trades, went to college, and have gone back to the trades, right? Because most tradesmen don't do that. And so having grown up in a family of trades, I've gone to college and I do something else now. So talk about how your family reacted to that, and that day that you were that lonely person on the campus and trying to figure out what in the world am I doing here. Talk about that for me, please.
So it was really challenging. Like I said, I didn't have much support going to college, besides my mom, who was always pushing me, but I didn't have like any financial support or anything like that. And I'm from Montrose, Colorado. It's a little town. I moved to Colorado Springs, and this was a huge city for me. I mean, I remember leaving campus and I accidentally turned onto I-25, and I was like, oh my God, like I don't know what to do. I'd never seen a double turning lane before, like a freeway or nothing. It was another funny story just reminded me. So when I moved up here, I actually had never lived in a home or really experienced a home that had forced air. So the first home I was renting with a bunch of buddies up here, I remember going into the bathroom in the morning and I'm like, oh, it's like so nice and cozy. And like I felt this warm air coming out of the vent and I was amazed by it. But where I grew up at, the part of town I grew up in, it was a poor part of town, and everybody used a wood stove for heat, and that's what we used. And every summer we split wood and made a fire, and you woke up in the morning and it was freezing, and if you wanted to get warm, you had to make a fire. So it's kind of funny that I got into HVAC. But so going back to that feeling, going to college, it was just so far out there for me. But the one thing was the goal that my mom, she instilled that goal into me so deeply. I had never really thought about what I wanted to do with my life, anything at that point. The only thing was college and getting through college, and that's what I focused on, and that's what really got me going and moving forward. And it was really nice when I got hired at Colorado Springs Utilities. I was the lowest paid employee in the entire organization when I started there. But at that point in where I was at in my life, I was able to purchase my first home, and I had a really steady job, and I had benefits and retirement and all of this stuff. And at that point, I was happy. If I would have stayed there for the rest of my life, I made it. So it's just, I'm not really sure. I think a lot of it, what it was going to college, not so much the education, but just the people that you meet and the connections that you make, and it just kind of opens up a whole another level, a whole nother world for you. And I just kept going.
When did you start networking, and how beneficial was it for you and your business?
Networking has been everything for us. So the thing that really got our business to start taking off was I just started doing a little bit of posts on Facebook in my community page. So I live in Lorson Ranch, which is the far southeast corner of town, and they have a very active community page. It's one of the fastest growing areas in all of town. And I just started putting it out there. Hey, I started my own HVAC company. If you need anything, give us a call. And it really blew up from there and started meeting more people, getting a lot of referrals. I joined a BNI networking group, and so I was getting more referrals through that, and just started going to different networking events that I was invited to. Like every networking event I went to, I would get invited to a different one. So I just started going to them, handing out cards, meeting people, and we get so many referrals. One of the biggest mistakes I would say that I made from the previous company, which I wouldn't even really call it a mistake because everybody does it, is we spend a lot of money on marketing, and that was a big part of how we grew. And especially for a small business, marketing is expensive, and you do get some returns, but in my opinion, the right way to grow a business is if you do the work properly and you build the relationships and you get the referrals. That's the right way to grow a business. And that was one of the main goals that I had when I started my company. I did not want to at any point become reliable on marketing to keep the business going. And so I really took the bulls by the horn with the networking, and it's been phenomenal. We grew way faster than I ever imagined, especially because I knew I wasn't going to do a ton of marketing.
All right, so first of all, what's on the pen? You're talking about marketing, right? So I'm a nurse, and I started in the days before we had computer typing, so I'm a bit of a pen snob, so I'm going to give kudos on this.
Yeah, there's plenty of pens. Everybody feel free to take as many as you want.
And then my second question, which is kind of related, like myself as a nurse, like I know I'll always have a job, and I kind of feel like that's a little bit your industry, you and HVAC, like you're always going to have a job, probably. And so I'd like to hear you kind of speak to that and how competitive of a market it really is and what you're doing to kind of stay. You've answered that a little bit, but what you're doing to kind of stay relevant in that industry.
So it is extremely competitive. And unfortunately, I think that makes a lot of guys become complacent because they know, I've seen it happen before. I've done it. Like I'll fire somebody or somebody will walk off a job and they'll have a job with the new company the very same day. You see them back at the supply shop with a new uniform and stuff. They're working immediately. It's crazy. And constantly I have guys, other businesses trying to take guys away. It's crazy. I ran into an owner yesterday at a supply shop. Every time I see him, he's always asking about my main guy, Steve. He's been trying to get him back for years. And so it's very competitive. But at the same time, I think that competitive, like I said, creates some complacency. There's a lot of guys out there that they really don't spend the time investing on themselves and growing and becoming the best techs that they can be. And there's a lot of techs and a lot of companies out there that they really don't know how to do the work properly. And you see it and you hear about it all the time with complaints from different contractors, and especially in new construction and everything. It's horrendous. And it's tough. It's really tough. So my goal, I've always been really big on the education side of things. Any classes that come up, I bring them to the guys. I pay for them to do any class that they want to do. We did a big technical university. It was a week-long class a couple of months ago that I sent half the guys to. So my way is I'm constantly pushing the guys. If there's a new project that comes up, something we've never done before, I'm the first one out there with them, and I don't turn down any work. I see it more as an opportunity, and I want to learn all of this stuff. And there's not a lot of companies out there that do a lot of these crazy projects that we like to do, and I jump all over them because I want to learn it.
One question before.
It's quick, yes, go ahead. This is the last question before our super special question, so if you want access to that question, you go after Frank.
Hey, I'm so glad you're here. You're doing a fantastic work in our community, and we're so glad that your business is doing that. Tell me, the trades industry has created, and so kind of rightfully so, a really negative space as far as what people's expectations are in community. How do you mitigate that?
It's going to take a community effort. I think me and Diego have kind of talked about it a little bit, but that was one of the reasons why I saw so much opportunity in this space. But to give you an example of how bad it is, I've gotten several jobs where I'll have a customer call and they're like, man, I called 7 contractors. You're the only one that answered. Or I got 4 bids for a new AC. You're the only one that actually sent me a bid. It's horrible. And so I think as a whole, the industry just needs to be better about that. But at the same time, there's such a shortage and there's so much work out there. the businesses become complacent too. And if you think about the average size of a construction company or HVAC company, if I'm out running jobs every day and I got a helper that's helping me, there's no way I can keep up with the phone calls. I mean, I've been there, and you don't have the systems or the support in place to properly take care of customers. And so I think for you as consumers, the way that we can help that is just really understanding that and knowing that a lot of these companies, yeah, they might be low price, or you see such a huge variance in pricing on different projects and stuff. But that's why if I'm a guy in a truck and I don't know how much it costs to run a business and I don't have any of these support systems in place, I can do a job for half the cost, because it does cost that much more for us to run a business and to have the vehicles and the proper insurances and licensing and do training and to have the proper tools and to know how to do the jobs right and have the support systems in place to take care of customers and run 24-hour calls and all of that stuff. So, yeah.
Who would like the honor of asking our special 1 million plus question? Go ahead, Con.
What can we as the Colorado Springs community do to support you?
All right, so my ask from all of you here today is, so I'm giving you guys all a free furnace tune-up and inspection. So give us a call, get that set up. And my ask is just give me some feedback. I want to be the best that I can be. I want honest feedback. And like I said, in order for me to be the best that I can be, I don't know what I don't know. And so any feedback that I can get from you guys, that's the best support that I can get.
Stay right there. That's the perfect segue. His answer here is, as organizers, we're always building and seeing what corporate has to say and making it our own, but still staying within the guidelines of 1 million cups nationally. And as organizers, we help prepare people to present. Well done, John. Great presentation. And it's our job. The follow-up is you as an audience. So Connie's one of our new organizers. She's making some checklists for you. So if you're like, I don't know how to give feedback, I don't have time to meet him after this, I'm going straight to my other thing, you can just write it out and give it to him. Or you can use the 1 Million Cups website platform to click a button and give him some feedback. So we have all those things in place, and as organizers, we're here to do that. And so, of course, for presenting today, John gets his mug. Thank you so much for being here. Beautiful, you're welcome. So grab your thing, and then in 12 months, you'll hear an update presentation. So if you've ever presented at 1 Million Cups, every 12 months, you can come back and give us an update. So thank you, John. Well done. You're welcome. Yep. So let's go ahead and do community announcements. So if you have a community announcement,